Hello viewers, good morning. Today I'm going to talk about avoiding the strawberry milkshake. Now if you're watching this, I don't know what would make you think that I'm talking about dietary avoiding a strawberry milkshake, so if you tuned in for that, that's just weird. I'm talking about avoiding the strawberry milkshake that happens in the radiator. Can happen in other vehicles, but it's an issue that happens with the 3rd Gen 4Runners. Radiator gets old. You can tell this one's old by the brown coloring on it, but age isn't necessarily a problem if they're well maintained. This one's original to the vehicle, now 200 and almost 20,000. So this vehicle's got 219 plus on it and still original radiator. I'm not afraid of that, but I don't want to have the strawberry milkshake happen, so that's why I want to show you how to avoid it happening. You can tell the radiator used to be black on the ends when it was new. This one's old. That's okay. They can last a long time, but why risk it when you can put a cooler in that is inexpensive? This one was like $27 from Summit. A buddy gave me a larger one. I was hoping to be able to put it in, but I just didn't have the room back here. I've already taken the hood latch out. I've taken this support piece out that attaches up here. I'll show you when I go to put all that back in. Kept my nuts and bolts in order. I had to remove the horn, and then I have my turn signals up in the grill, so that's why my turn signal plugs are up there. So I'm going to go ahead and get the skid plates and everything off of this and show you how to avoid the strawberry milkshake for cheap, because it's really expensive if it happens to you. So hang on just a minute. Let me get all this crap off here. If you are completely unaware of the strawberry milkshake issue, there's a transmission cooler in the radiator on these units. I'm already finished now, but I realized I forgot to explain the strawberry milkshake to those that aren't aware. It's when the cooler springs a leak inside the radiator and you mix your transmission fluid and your coolant in the radiator, and it's a nasty, ugly mess. So I'm going to put this in here somewhere, work it in. Here's some of the finished product. I'm not done yet, though, when you're listening to me right now, so hang on. Okay, I like to put my hoses on the unit here and leave the rest of the hose in one piece, like this. You can see it better here. Then I route it down where it needs to go, since these are almost side by side anyway. Then I've already got these ends tightened up and put on there, and it's just easier that way than trying to tighten these hoses up once it's in its place up against the radiator. I heat these up a little bit. I had my salamander on just a minute ago, and I heated these up a little bit. Makes them easier to push on over there than just use screw clamps. Holding this at the edge here, I bend up some of my tines. The cleaner straighter they are, the better it'll cool. I think this 4-pass unit's going to be just fine anyway, but I want all the help it can get. You can buy combs that straighten these up, but on the ends, sometimes I'll just smash them when I'm working with the thing. I like to go around, straighten them all back up. So just a pick will work. You can buy one of them combs, but anyway, let me force this down in, route it where I want it to be, and then I'll come back and straighten some more of them out. You don't have to watch me do that stuff. And we'll get this baby put on today. It's a beautiful sunshiny day. I want to get this 4Runner back on the road this afternoon. So hang on, let me route this and we'll be right back. Okay, I got my cooler in and the line's run. I'll show you where. When I get down to the bottom, I could go all the way to the hard lines that come off the transmission, but they're right above a frame rail. I can't even get my hands up in there. It's a pain in the butt, and I ain't gonna mess with it. I'm gonna put some spacers in and go from the soft line to my soft line using these little adapter pieces. I keep this stuff around when I tear things apart because it comes in handy, like today. One end's already got a flare on it. I'm gonna take a punch, stuff it in there, smack on it with a BFH, and that'll give me a little flare on the end. I don't know if you can see that, you can feel it, but there's a little flare on the end there now, and that'll keep my hose from sliding off the end. So that's a good tip for that, because you don't want the hose to slide off. So I got both of those made. I ran my hoses up here through the frame, or through the firewall, the core support, even though it's got a rolled edge on it, I'm going to put some of this black foam stuff that comes off old AC lines. Once I get it finished mounted, I'll put that through there to protect my lines. Under here, I've already got my hose brought down. You can see it there. This is my new piece. I'm going to tie in one side here and this one over here with the other side using my two pieces. I'm going to get that done real quick. Get my pan under there, make a mess. I'll be right back with that. Hang on. Okay, now what I did, I just come under here and I got my new pieces already put on, my new line. Everything's all hooked up so when I take my old lines off, the minimal amount of transmission fluid loss. I believe I can still use these same spring clamps that I'm going to be taking off of here. Actually, no, I think they're going to be too big because this other line has a really big outside on it. So let me see, we'll get one loose, take the clamp off, grab it with your pliers, give it a little wiggle. And the idea here is to lose minimal amount of fluid. So you get your other line up there, ready to go on. Minimal amount of fluid loss. I'm not going to be able to use that clamp because there's a slight difference in size of the line. That's dripping out of the radiator. Let me go grab a couple more clamps. Okay, got some clamps. Got that one put back on, clamped properly. Slightly different size in the hose. This is the size hose I needed to fit the cooler properly. It doesn't matter that it's shrunk down just a tiny bit, but I used that factory flared in there on my old line just because. So let me grab that other one off there real quick. Then I can say the idea is to have the minimal amount of mess possible. So we're doing that here, looking pretty good so far. I'm going to pull that one off there. Get that loose. New clamp on the ready. Got it. Okay, clamp on, new line on. Woo! Automatic transmission fluid down my sleeve. That never happens. By the way, it won't happen to you. Go ahead and do it. You won't worry about that. Never happened to you. All right, find my factory bump. Right there, I'm going for. We'll fire this up here and make sure there's no leaks anywhere. And then I'll finalize my routing. Where's my, there it is. Right there. All right, so dripping a little bit. All in all, didn't lose very much. And you gotta blow the rest of what's in your transmission, or your transmission, let the rest of what's in your radiator out, or it'll keep leaking down into your skid plate. But see, that's all I lost. All in all, a little bit of that was in the hose from where I pre-filled my thing. Got a little bit mess to clean up here. I'm gonna clean these hoses all off, fire this up, and we'll see if it's gonna leak or not. Okay, I took a piece of hose and just put it on this other, that one of the ends, and blew in it. You can see it blowing all that transmission fluid out. If you don't, it'll slowly leak out. You can put two hoses to hold it together because in theory, if it ever did give up, you're going to start losing coolant. So it might not be a bad idea to throw a piece of hose on there just to hold it together. But I don't have one right now, so I'm not going to worry about it. But I'm going to try to get all that ATF out of there. So even with blowing that line out, that's still all the fluid that I lost, which isn't much at all. Yeah, just not much at all. So I got way more volume in my new cooler. Let me get something to clean all this up with, and we'll fire this up, see if it's going to work. All right, got it mounted. Zip ties are plenty. I'll cut that off. To hold this thing up, it isn't going to be heavy. It just comes with little plastic things like this that hold it anyway to run through the fins. I run one through there. I make sure I put a little foamy thing up here so I don't smush it. I'll have to straighten those coils back up. anything that it's up against, I like to make it soft, of course, so it doesn't abrade it. Went my hoses through here. I put some of that foamy stuff on there like I was talking about. I just zip tied it to the hoses. I split it and slid it up on there. It'd be easier to put it on beforehand and slide it up the hose. You wouldn't have to split it, but I didn't have the forethought to do that today. Got my latch back, my AC line back in its little clippy holder there, and all my 10 millimeters back in. Now I got to put my horn back, and then I'm so confident that it's done well. I'm just going to put everything back except the grill, and then I'll fire it up. So let me put my horn back real quick. Okay, now the horn's back. I'll put the grill back on after I've done testing everything. Everything's padded, nothing's going to rub. It's good and secure on there with the zip ties. Let me go ahead and trim those now so I don't forget, because that would bug me later to know that they were there. Okay, and then under here, I've got it all secured up out of the way. I've cleaned it. I'll test it. Got them all secured. You want to make sure they're all nice and secure so you don't get any drippies. That does look like transmission fluid, but I haven't turned it on and tested it yet, but we're getting ready to give it a test here and see if we got any leaks. So give me just a sec. All right. She's up and running. Clutch fan's shut off so you can maybe hear me. No leaks. No leaks. I'll get her there and put her in drive, run it through the gears. Make sure that no leaks. That's where I just sprayed cleaner. I'm gonna let that run. I'm gonna get under there. I'm gonna let that run. I'm going to put it in gear, run it through the gears for a minute, and we'll see if it's still doing okay. Okay, I just get in there, run it through all the gears, make sure that's full. I got to go out and run it up to temperature. It's still warm from before because it's coming in warm on the bottom here. Well, that's awesome. Then I'm not going to have to go too far. Got to check the fluid, make sure it's good. But still, you see here we got no leak. Got my union right there, and no leak. Got my union right there. Get some brake parts cleaner residue still on there, but no leaks. So I'm gonna go ahead and button this up, drive it around, make sure my transmission fluid's good, and there you have it.